Hey, hello, friends and fam. Today we're going over another chapter from Wooden on Leadership. We're going to talk about some principles here, and this is one that I don't think is actually talked about uh, really very often. So, once again, breaking down Wooden on Leadership, Chapter 7 Emotion is Your Enemy. Now, I know a lot of people would view emotion as being passionate about something, but Wooden actually takes a different perspective on emotion, and I think it's a very valuable one. It talks about emotion actually being a detriment, like as in when you're playing a game, how emotion can be the thing that becomes the most important thing of the game, and it sways the game way too far left, way too far right. If things go great, you're over the top. If things do not go great, you're in the depths of despair. So we want to make sure that we are even keel so that emotion isn't the thing that causes us to make mistakes. Emotionalism can cause damage. It can spill over and affect judgment. Think about it if you're playing a game. We're going to stick with the game analogies because he was a basketball coach. But if you're playing a game and you make a mistake, like maybe you're going for a steal and you get a foul instead, now you are going to be more upset about the mistake that you made. Or if you go for a steal, you miss, and the other team gets a basket, a very important basket. Your emotions behind the mistake you made are actually going to be the thing that makes you and your teammates start pointing fingers at each other. And it's just going to throw off the rhythm that you guys have created. So emotions can be very detrimental to a team. So we want to make sure that we stay on an even keel, whether you've been or the adage is acting like you've been there before. If you're familiar with the NFL, you'll know Barry Sanders, I believe, was one of the highest scoring NFL players of all time. And every single time he walked into the end zone, he just handed the ball over to the referee. No elaborate celebrations, no, pumping his fist in the air, no slamming the ball. He just handed the ball off to the referee, acting as if he had been there before. So that's a very good idea of how we should manage our emotions. Even when we do really awesome things, we need to keep those in check. We need to be reminded that change comes slowly. You know, when it comes to emotionalism, it's not something that you're expected that you come from being an emotional person and then all of a sudden now you're no longer emotional about the game or the things that are impacting you. You need to give yourself a little bit of grace. You need to become very good at, growing this emotionless or let's call it targeted emotional state. It's not going to happen overnight. It's something that has to be worked at day after day, again and again and again. Coach Wooden talks about in his first season that he was very emotional and he actually almost fought a player. He almost fought a parent. And over years, he had to learn to temper his emotions and bring them down to where at one point sportscasters were saying, "Oh, Coach Wooden raised his eyebrows. He's really ticked off now." So it definitely went from one extreme all the way over to a very stoic extreme where he was able to keep an even keel, even in national championship games. So, emotion control takes time. The third point he makes is that leaders lead by example. He couldn't tell his players not to be emotional when he himself had an issue with being emotional. So, although he did preach this for several years, he was putting it into place. He was practicing on it, actively practicing on it day after day, and making sure that it wasn't going to be something that hindered him because he could also make mistakes if he was too emotional. He actually talked about um, this is a cool story. A player that was really trying hard his senior year so that he could get a letter, a varsity letter. And he said this player played his butt off, was going hard every practice. He actually was considering giving him this varsity letter, even though he did not meet all of the particular requirements. It was within his power to be able to request an athletic letter, which would never be turned down by the head coach. Well, this player's parent ends up showing up at Wooden's office uninvited. And before they could even really get any sort of conversation going and he could talk about the player, the parent is pointing his finger in Wooden's face and threatening his job, saying that his son better get a letter. Well, the two exploded into an argument. Coach actually attempted to, take it outside and fight this guy. To which the father just kind of turned around and left, and as he was leaving, continued to threaten his job. Well, Wooden never gave that player a letter, even though 5 minutes before he was 99% on board with giving the player a letter based on the player's own hard work and dedication to the team. But he let an emotional moment ruin that between him and the father, and that player was the one who suffered. And that is something that stuck with him for the next 40 years in coaching, is how he let himself get emotional. He immediately regretted it and had since apologized and tried to get the player a letter. However, it was too late. So that's his example of where he messed up, and then he made it a purpose of his to not display that sort of emotion again. And he led by example. So it's a great learning lesson. Rules to lead by. We have a few rules to lead by. Control emotion, or emotion will control you. I'm going to read this excerpt directly from the book. Intensity, correctly applied and directed, produces consistent and positive improvement and results. Uncontrolled emotions are mercurial displays of temperament, and they erode a leader's stature, lessen respect from others, and will undermine a team's effort. So, definitely all truisms here. Number 2, avoid excess, shoot for moderation. In my opinion, effective leaders understand that moderation and balance are linked to long-term success. Excess is just about anything, and just about anything has the potential to create erratic performance. Communicate this fact throughout the ranks, and of course, don't forget that your own example is frequently the best method of communication. And finally, instill emotional discipline. Much of the overwrought behavior we see in sports today is the result of insufficient discipline. For example, a football player putting on a big show of celebration after making a tackle when his team is losing 27-3 late in the fourth quarter is demonstrating poor judgment, bad perspective, and lack of emotional discipline. Characteristics I do not associate with success. It's up to you, the leader, to insist that those in the organization demonstrate the same great emotional control that you have. Do you have it? So that is Coach Wooden on emotions and where they have place within the game or within the boardroom or within life. We should all be displaying control over emotion and not let emotion control us. Anyways, guys, that's my me time today. That's chapter 7 in Wooden on Leadership. Let me know of these which one has spoken to you the most, and let's have a dialogue. Let's talk about it. And are you an emotional leader? Is emotion something that sometimes grips you? Well, let's chat about it. Drop a comment in the comment box, please, and let's talk. Anyways, it's time to go out there and make moves. Thank you guys for tuning in. God bless you. Remember to go out and make moves and not excuses. See ya.